I'm your host, Jenny Owens, and in this episode, we're going to talk about a book that I read recently called Hacking Healthcare by Tom Lawry. I've seen a few of Tom Lawry's columns around. He's written in a bunch of different publications about artificial intelligence and healthcare, and I thought it would be really interesting to grab one of his longer form publications and see how he develops some of these ideas. I thought this was interesting. Hacking Healthcare is kind of a compendium of a bunch of articles that he's written, pulled together, given some framework and introduction by Eric Topol, which is also interesting, and given kind of a narrative arc over the course of the book. I wanted to specifically focus, first of all, on the book overall, and then I wanted to dive in deep on chapter 16, which is on AI-driven leadership. So overall, the book is good. It was an interesting read. I'm glad that I read it. I do find that the book is a little fluffy on specifics. So there's a lot of, well, AI will solve this, or, health organizations are already using AI to do this or that. They're using AI to predict no-show rates. They're using AI to do this or that. And there's not a lot of concrete grounding points into, okay, if health organizations are using AI to predict no-show rates, is that working for them? Is it better than the existing systems? Please give us some metrics. Help me really pin down how AI is improving the healthcare system. The book is specifically billed as how AI and the intelligence revolution will reboot an ailing system. And overall, the book seems a little bit long on what AI can do, which is good, right? AI can do a lot of things. We're still in the very early stages. A little bit maybe more interested in where AI can take us and less interested in asking questions about how will it get us there? How will the intermediate stages look? What does implementation look like? Overall, I did think it was an interesting read, definitely a worthwhile read, but it raised a lot of questions for me, which is always the hallmark of a good book, right? If I find myself thinking, wanting to engage and ask a lot of questions, for me, that's a really good read. I wanted to dive in primarily on chapter 16, which is one of the most interesting chapters for me, on AI-driven leadership. This is something that I haven't really thought about because my focus has been more on, okay, we have a given AI technology, we have a defined clinical or operational problem that we want to use. How do we take this peg and put it into this hole? How do we determine the goodness of the fit? This chapter really dovetails very nicely with the previous book that I read on business strategy, looking at AI-driven leadership and what does it mean to really have AI-driven leadership at the strategic level. So one of the quotes that I thought was really fantastic was, he says, success, especially at scale, can elude even those making sizable investments in AI. So just putting a lot of dollars or a lot of effort into AI is not enough to get you to a successful place. You have to have a really high tolerance for iteration and for gradient-based learning, which is not something really that I've found healthcare systems have frequently for tech. We wanted to put a solution in. We want it to work flawlessly right away. We want it to be head and shoulders above the previous solution. And we really do need to have a greater tolerance for systems that learn and develop and grow. I went off on a bit of a tangent here, wondering if we could send new tech off to like med school or an internship or a residency or a fellowship. Like, is there some sort of holding tank or sandbox where we can put this new technology to train it up so that we are not actually doing drills with live ammunition in our fully live ecosystem with live patients? This is a subject that is worth a lot more thought, but I did want to raise it here. One of the ways in which this particular chapter dovetails really nicely with our previous book, the New Lords of Strategy, is in thinking about value, right? AI-driven leadership requires a focus on metrics and value that are not just financial. When I was reading the strategy book, I really wrestled with the concept that the purpose of an organization or the purpose of a company is to make money for its shareholders, not to produce a product that customers want to buy, not to benefit the community, but to produce value for its shareholders. And I found myself wondering, what does this mean when you're working in a nonprofit healthcare system, right? What is the purpose of a nonprofit healthcare system? And I don't necessarily think that it's different, right? We just have to be careful about how we define value and how we define shareholders. When you're a nonprofit healthcare system, value is not just dollars, right? Value is overall health. Value is community benefit. Value is the health of your employees and what you're doing for the overall community in which your hospital is situated.